is Big Russ for Redneck Reviews and Project Concept. And I'm actually going to show you how to do an oil change in Farley. Uh, this car is fairly easy to do if you've got the right tools. I unfortunately do not, but it's still not that difficult. This method is easier than trying to jack the car up and removing the belly pan to get to the oil pan. And I mean, it takes a little longer than a standard oil change, but it's a lot cleaner. The only difficult part is actually getting to the oil filter on this car, which I'll show you is right here under the turbo. And yeah, you can't see it because the intake track is in the way. This is the only piece that has to come off the car to do the oil change. Now, most of the European cars and the newer Chrysler products don't use a traditional oil filter. They use one of these. This is a cartridge style filter, and it's actually a lot easier to deal with because you have one nut on top of the oil filter case that you unscrew, and it just pulls straight up out of it. You get a new O-ring with your filter. It's just like a traditional style filter where you got that O-ring seal on the filter housing itself, but this actually is replaced or replaces the one that's on the cup. But to start it all off, you use one of these little tiny hoses and you pull the engine oil dipstick out. As you can see, it's actually not too bad. I run fully synthetic. It's been about 8,000, 9,000 miles since I've done the oil change. And usually it's a lot blacker. So all you do, give that a good little wipe to keep it protected. And you take this hose straight down the oil dipstick tube. Now you'll feel it when you start getting a little resistance that you have to kind of turn it to where it goes straight down. And as you can see, I'm not just pushing this into nothingness. It's down there in the dipstick tube. Okay. Now,
there you go. See it now.
This is, I want to say I paid about $10 for this at Harbor Freight. This is a fluid transfer pump. There are better pumps to do this out on the market. They start out around 50 to $60 and go up to well over $200. And if you have that option, do it. If this is something you do on the daily basis, weekly basis, I say go ahead and spend the money on it. Me, my car, it's either every 8,500 miles or 6 months that it has to get an oil change. Well, yeah, I don't have to go through all that, every month like some people. But what you do, you take the outlet side and you put it in a jug. Something that you can put your old motor oil in. Reconnect it. This side, you can see there's a little fitting in there. Actually goes like that. You just press this in, nice and snug, and then go ahead and seal it off like that. Now the fun part. This is the longest process of this oil change aside from actually getting the old filter out and the new one in. Is it is a vacuum pump. You have to pull the vacuum. Let's see. Do we have anything starting to drip out? There we go. See? Just like that. It takes a while, but you can easily get it out. You can kind of hear it squirting out of the jug, or into the jug. And one thing you can do to make this easier is just pull your oil filler cap off, set it like that, and then all right. So for that, we'll go ahead and put this back in there. Stick this down so I don't squirt oil all over the place. And I'm gonna just keep at it. And through the magic of video editing, this will be done, and I'll be pulling the intake off. One of the things with this style pump, you have to build up pressure in it. So you'll be doing like a lot of just slap chop type of movements. And it does take a long time, guys. Like this is one of the cheapest vacuum pumps you can get on the market. And you know, if you're doing this once every 6 months, I don't see the need to spend the $100 for a decent one. Because this works just fine. It's just going to take you a little longer. As you can see, there's enough pressure in there to push the plunger back up. But when you build up enough pressure, yeah. And I mean, and I just blew the hose off. That's one thing you got to be aware of when doing this. There we go. And now I have oil all over my car because of this. So I guess he's getting a bath today, and it's in the low 40s right now. One thing you do want to do while you're doing pumping it out this method is periodically check your oil level to make sure you've got it all out. So all you do is just pull it out. And as you can see, about that much of it was in the oil pan. So we're going to wipe it off so we don't get oil everywhere. You just kind of set it right here. It's not really out of the way, but it's not in the way either. Dipstick back down in there, pull it out, and we still got a ways to go. But that's okay. That's why you do this. So we'll just slide this back on in. And you got to twist the hose around to make sure you realign it. Because the way the oil dipstick goes, it comes down and it doesn't stop right into the oil pan. It kicks into it. And that's on any vehicle, not just, you know, imports. You know, Chevys do it, Fords, Dodges. Everybody does it that way. It's kind of the standard. So we'll go ahead and push that back on in. And back to pumping. Back in with the cup in, you just reverse all the steps you did to get to it. So fish this back in, and slip it over the turbo inlet and reconnect that nipple. That's all there is to it. And while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and put this back in. I left it out just so I'd have that little bit of extra room to move my air box or my air intake over, because it's just about level with the top. And it's just like that. All the oil out now. How do I know? You can listen to it. It's not really gurgling anymore. It's more of a hissing sound coming out. As you can see, the best thing to do when you're pulling this out, cap the hose off, pull it up, and then just go ahead and stick it in the jug with your other hoses. This way any fluid in there will drain back into the jug. And when I get done, I will hang my pump up to where both ports are pointing down, and it'll let gravity just pull the oil back down into the jug. Now, to get to the filter, there's only two tools you need outside of that pump to do an oil change on this car: a flathead screwdriver and a 27mm socket. So, there's only one connection you have to disconnect to get this job done. And it's right here under this oil. Which one is this one? Looks like the oil supply line. And all you do is just kind of fish your screwdriver down in there and loosen this worm screw clamp. Okay. Now, are there better types of hose clamps on the market? Most definitely. But this is what Chrysler Core decided was a good use. And that's it. All you do, go ahead and pull this nipple off. I find it actually easier to just pull the nipple off from the stem. It just pops out. They're pressed fit together. Then trying to remove this little spring clamp. A lot easier to deal with. And then you just kind of, if you've got it loose enough, it'll wiggle right off. Obviously, I don't. And you just back this worm screw out till the clamp is loose enough. And then you pull it up and out of the way. Just like that. That's the most you got to take off. All right. Now with this out of the way, you can actually see the filter better. Right here where my finger is. Right there where my finger is. This is a 27mm nut. Now, you don't have to go crazy to get this off. This is all you need. And when you put it back on, this is all you need. You just need this to break the seal and then to reset the seal. So, you just slip it on in. And give it a quick little turn. Until it's freed. And then you can just reach in, and if you did it right, you should just be able to spin it off by hand. And it is a tight space, but as you can see, I can easily get my arm in there. sometimes using this makes it a little easier. Especially if that O-ring seal is still connected, which I'm believing is the case right now. I got the filter cup backed off enough to where the seal is no longer making a connection. So now we just unscrew it, and you can only do about a quarter turn at a time because of the constraints. But if you've got it right, you got it right. And you just spin it to the passenger side to pull it out. And like I said, it is a filter cup. The old filter just pops out, and remarkably, this is the third oil change I've done, and this is the best looking filter I've pulled out. The last one was almost crushed. But there's supposed to be an O-ring right here, and I'm curious as if it's still down there, and I don't feel it, which is odd. Okay, so what do we do about that? You come here and take a look, and you see if it fell out or what. I don't see the oil filter O-ring in there, so that's okay. New filter just snaps right in. Don't worry, it's supposed to be loose like that. Because inside the filter housing where this cup screws into, there's a pin that seats up against this, so it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm dripping oil all over my car. Take a little of that oil you've got on your hand and just kind of give the O-ring a nice little lubrication. And yeah, my camera person is giggling over all these little words I'm saying. And I just remembered something. There's my O-ring seal. So, make quick work of that. It didn't sit on this flange. It actually sits in a little spot. Now, if you didn't get an O-ring with yours, you might want to reuse it. Me, I've got a new one. This is a Napa Gold filter made by Wix. So anybody saying, oh, Napa filters are garbage, well, Wix Filters makes a lot of the OEM manufacturers' filters for them. So argument invalid. But you just gently roll the new one on. And it will put up a fight because your hands are slick, it's slick, and this cup is going to get slick. But you get it down to right here, and then you just try to get your finger in there to get it over that lip. And you got a new seal in. Why do you put a new seal in? It's to actually prevent any possible oil leaks. If you reuse your old seal, you could run the risk of nicking it, taking it in and out, and that would cause a leak. When your oil leaks out of your car, you're going to blow the motor. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then just to reinstall it, you just snake it back down in there like you pulled it out. And you can just easily spin it in by hand until you start to feel a little resistance. And that's when you grab your breaker bar and your 27mm socket and tighten it down. And you don't have to go all Hulk on it and, you know, break the filter cap, because if you do that, you're going to have to go to the dealership and buy a new one. And most of you guys are working on your cars on a Saturday or Sunday when you're off work. And chances are you're not going to get to the dealership on Saturday before the parts counter closes. And very few dealerships that I've been to have anybody working in the service department on a Sunday. That includes in California, where they sell damn near 24/7. Fill your oil back up, or your engine back up with oil. Make sure your funnel is clean. You don't want any dirt and debris making its way into your engine with your fresh, clean motor oil. And that means the outside and inside, anywhere that it could go into your engine, it will find its way into your engine. And all it is just a simple wipe down. And pop it in your oil filler cap. Now, I've ran Mobil 1 fully synthetic, the SRT blend, the European blend, back when SRT and Mobil 1 had a partnership. Since I've got this car, after its first oil change, I've been using Rotella, and it loves it. The Abarth, for some reason, does burn a little bit of oil. So you put a gallon in, and you get about a half gallon out. And nobody can explain where it goes, but after, 8,000 miles, 9,000 miles, do you really care where it went? She's thirsty. And it's just that simple, guys. There are a few steps to it. It is a little time intensive because you're using a vacuum pump instead of just, if you have access to a lift, by all means. There's like 6 10mm bolts that hold it, the under tray in place. You can drop those, get to the drain plug like that, and it can be a lot quicker. The biggest pain and time consuming issue outside of getting the oil out is actually getting to the filter. And it's really, once you've done it a few times, it's not that big a deal. It is a small car, so packaging is kind of at a premium. But now that we're done under the hood, the squirrels are playing in the backyard, and it's entertaining. We're gonna step inside after you clean your hands up, and I will show you the reset. Now that we're inside the car, you need your key. You're not gonna start the car, but what you're gonna do, put it in the ignition, turn it to on, let everything come up, pump the gas pedal 3 times, and then turn it off. If you've done that correctly, as you can see, my tire light's still on because I need to check my tire pressure. But my maintenance light is off, and that's it. That is the standard reset for any Mopar vehicle. Yes, Fiat 500s are a Mopar vehicle because they own Chrysler Corporation. So turn the key on, pump the gas 3 times, turn the key off, and then start the car, and your maintenance light is off. And then you get to hear this sweet music. Do an oil change on a Fiat 500 Abarth. My next job is over there. So please leave me some comments, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Um, the S10 will get worked on this year, hopefully. I'm starting really crazy work hours soon, so that's going to be an issue, along with some other personal things going on. But hopefully that gets started on this year. I might do some more DIYs like this, down the line as stuff comes up that I feel fits. So again, please like, subscribe, leave me some comments, ask me some questions. I have no problem answering a question. If you have an idea for a video, shoot it to me. I don't care. I'll try my best to do it the right way. That being said, guys, have a wonderful day.